verse 11, and it says plans to give you hope in the future. Is that's speaking to eternity, if I'm correct, right?
So actually, what does it say right before that?
So it says, "For I know the plans I have."
Before that,
when 70 years are completed for
right?
Babylon, I will come to you with good promise.
Yeah. So he's talking about that's the hope. So hope is a noun in the Bible, not a verb. So it's not like I hope the Vikings win, which they may not the rest of the year. I don't know. But it's not like hope. It's like, oh no, it's a sure thing. I plan to give you a hope. I plan to give you a real, solid future. Give you a hope and a future.
So like the Bible uses it, like I hope the Packers do good this year. Like it's going to happen.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. It could be. It could be.
I don't know about that.
Okay. So it's in other words, it's not just about the future though. It is about the future, but it's not just about the future. It's about there's a hope right now. There's a solid goodness that happens right now on this planet. Okay? All right, and then the fourth place is stay. So we're above the line. We have an intimate relationship with God. And so the challenge then is to stay. We stay surrendered to Jesus in easy or hard circumstances. And so we say, what's the saying? Left
or right.
Left or right, but
stay above the line. Left or right, stay above the line. So look what it says in 1 John chapter 2. Who can read this for us?
As for you, see that what you have heard from the beginning remains and stays in you. If it does, you also will remain and stay in this unending power.
Yeah, the word remain is the word meno in the Greek language, and it means simply to stay, to remain in that exact same place. So the challenge then is to stay near the Lord. Now, what we're not saying here, this is not a discussion about eternal security. Do you know what eternal security means? Has anybody ever heard that phrase?
That's your ticket to heaven.
That's your ticket to heaven. Or like once saved, always saved. This is not that. This is not that. What we're saying is we're simply obeying the command to stay, what we've heard from the beginning remains or stays in us, so that we stay in that surrendered place. Okay? That's what we're saying. We know that when someone loves Christ and follows Him, that's got eternal rewards. Okay? All right, and we say this, left or right, stay above the line. And then, here's an example. This is an example of the whole process with Manasseh, who was the worst king ever. In Judah's history, the worst. And I'll show you why. The Lord spoke to Manasseh and his people, but they paid no attention. Above the line or below the line? Below the line. Okay?
Right there.
So the Lord brought against them the army commanders of the king of Assyria, who took Manasseh prisoner, put a hook in his nose, bound him with bronze shackles, and took him to Babylon. So based on this, what would you say, what square do you think that the nation of Judah was in under Manasseh's reign?
If there was a square 5, I'd put them at square 5.
Well, no, it would be square 6 because 5 would go right under 3 in my mind. So that would mean, I'd say it would be a solid 6.
There's only 4.
I'm going to say they're in square 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They were not suffering. They were doing just fine.
Well, at first they were, but this.
Yeah. Oh, no. Right. Okay, wait. Right here.
Oh, okay.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, then.
Well, I'd say, wait, put the next one up for a second.
Mm-hmm.
See, the kingdom is still fine.
It's just Manasseh.
How do you
It's
know?
just him.
How don't you know?
Isn't it?
I don't
It
know.
actually isn't just him.
So would we know?
But
They used bronze shackles. They had it good.
yeah, those were costly ones. They could use wood.
They only
Iron.
put a hook in
They
his
used
nose
a hook in
too,
his
no
nose,
big.
yeah.
No
Look
big
at that Jack and his
Now you know.
Bronze is a soft
And then they were like, that really
metal.
works. We
Soft
just put this
metal.
online and throw it in the water.
So the Lord brought against them, not just against him, the Assyrian, the army commanders of the king of Assyria, who took Manasseh prisoner, put a hook in his nose, bound him with bronze shackles, took him to Babylon. God is stirring the circumstances. Manasseh is the most evil king that ever graced that holy land. In his distress, he sought the favor of the Lord his God. So there was stirring, and he is now in square 4, and he's seeking. He sought the Lord. And he humbled himself greatly before the God of his ancestors. Then Manasseh knew that the Lord is God. He surrendered. He repented of his sin. It's square 2. All right, what did he do? He got rid of the foreign gods, removed the image from the temple of the Lord, as well as all the altars he had built on the temple hill in Jerusalem. He threw them out of the city. Then he restored the altar of God and sacrificed fellowship offerings and thank offerings on it, and told Judah to serve the Lord, the God of Israel. He is staying above the line.
So is he still like imprisoned and stuff at this point? Would he still be 2, or was he?
He actually, no, he was not in prison at this point.
Okay. So he
But
was
then-
still 1 now. Right?
Right.
So if God stirs 3 and 4, then who stirs 1 and 2?
We're going to get to that.
Doesn't he do all this?
We're going to get to that. There is a way. So you're talking about, so the enemy wants us below the line.
Right. So I
Okay.
feel like, I mean, you would think, well, if God's the one stirring 3 and 4, trying to get you out of that, then Satan would stir 1 and 2 to try and get you out of that. That's like, in comparison, it makes sense. But I don't see why Satan would want you in 1. I feel like you'd always just be in 2 all the time, because Satan would just attack you if you were above the line.
Satan doesn't want you in 2 either. He wants you below the line.
But over 1, preferably.
Yeah,
He
oh
would want
sure.
you in 2.
Oh, I guess if he had to pick one, he...
Right. So if you're staying above the line, he would want to pull you to 2 to get you below.
And God can use, just like what happened with Job, you'd have to say, if we're following the example of Job, what God did and with Job, and what he probably does with us too, is allow a time of testing and discipline. Yes, he does do that. Yes, sir.
The line between 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 seems to be very thin, but then once you get to 3 or 4, or especially 4, seems very hard to get back to the top.
That's quite a great observation. Yes. And by the way, some people have said to me, these aren't really lines. It's not really that simple. And of course it's not that simple. This is for the sake
Like a
of
metaphor.
illustration. It's not as though it's a solid line. It's more like a zone.
Like a dotted line, maybe.
Yeah, dotted line. It's semi-permeable membrane. You remember your days in biology? A semi-permeable membrane, let's say. Okay? And so he stayed above the line. That's what he did. He was working to stay above the line. And that 5th place then is what we call satisfaction or salvation. And salvation is a fully orbed word that indicates abundant life now and eternal life in glory. Okay? And so when we stay surrendered to Christ, we have satisfaction in this life. I have never met anybody who comes to the end of their days and say, man, I followed Jesus with all my heart, and I am so sad that I did. That is the stupidest decision I ever made. Have you ever heard anybody say that? What?
No, it's the opposite.
It's the opposite.
Because usually when you're dying, the last thing you do is cry out to Jesus.
Absolutely. Go to a nursing home and talk to Christians who are like 85 or 90 or 95 or 100 years old, you know, and ask them about their walk with Christ. And you'll see tears and you will see gratitude is what you'll see. You'll see pain, you'll see joy, you'll see gratitude going, I couldn't imagine doing anything other than following Christ. That's the story that you'll hear. Yes, it's been hard, but yes, it's been worth it. That is what you will hear.
Do you ever read quotes from famous atheists at the end of their life?
I think I have, like,
Like all of them are like, oh, I was wrong. But you don't hear about
Well,
that.
like Stephen Hawking, didn't he say something like?
he did say something along that line.
Yeah, like at the end of towards the end of his life, he released a statement or something, and I don't remember if it was like confirming that there was a God or anything like that.
Well,
I don't really remember exactly what it was, but I remember looking at it and being like, that sounds familiar to something I've heard before, you know?
Just like,
And I thought that was kind of
I
weird.
think it was more something along the lines of he's like, I'm not sure, but if there is something, I'd rather believe it or something.
Well, even Charles Darwin said when he died that he was the dumbest man ever to live.
Yep,
Like me and my dad
he
used to watch
recanted.
videos.
Nobody ever prints his recantation, but yes, he did.
Me and
But
my
yeah,
dad
we
used to
teach
watch, like,
evolution
videos.
in school.
Yeah, even though the guy who created
came up
it
with
said
it,
that
it's
he
like,
was
no,
wrong.
that was stupid.
That was the dumbest thing I ever did. I'm the dumbest man alive.
Yeah, that's what,
oh,
that's
let's
what's
teach it.
crazy. It's like, it'd be like at the end of this, if you were like, but that was a bunch of bull crap I made up just so I could teach it to you today. And then we went out and was like, look what we learned in class. It didn't include that part.
Right. Yeah, exactly, except it's exactly the opposite scenario, but you're right. Okay, so Jesus says this, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain or if you stay in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. You guys, you're not little teeny kids anymore. You're still young.
We're full-size kids.
Full-size kids, as am I. I'm just an older one, okay? But look, you wanna have a life that matters. You wanna come to the end of your days and go, that was so rich and meaningful. You wanna bear much fruit. What does Jesus say how to get there?
Abide in me.
Stay walking with Jesus. Stay walking with Jesus. Abide in Him. Remain in Him. Apart from me, you can do nothing. But if you stay in Him, you will bear much fruit. Yeah.
Have you ever heard the quote, I'd rather live my whole life believing in God and find out He doesn't exist than to live my whole life not believing Him and find out He does?
Oh, boy.
I think that's what I was thinking of actually.
Mm-hmm.
Because that would be rough.
Boy, yeah.
Well, I don't get the point of atheism. Like, even with all the religions, you'd think you'd at least want to believe in something. You know what I mean?
Well, then shouldn't believe me.
From
It
the
all
other point of
comes
view,
down
you
to
think
this.
it's for like a safety thing. You'd be
Right.
like,
I feel like it's
well,
fear.
it's better believe in one God than
Atheism completely
anything else.
fails at one point. And here's what it is. You either have to have pre-existent matter, or you have to have pre-existent God. Because look around. Let's just say for a moment that evolution is true. I don't happen to believe it is, but let's just say it is.
it's not possible for it to be.
Okay, but let's just say, the question then is, where did the matter come from? Okay, the stuff changed over billions and billions of years. Sure, go ahead and believe that. Now you answer for me then, where did the stuff come from? Where did the matter come from? So either matter is eternal, or matter is created. If it is created, who created the matter? There has to be an eternal, that H-E-L-P, holy, eternal, loving, and personal God. There's got to be, unless matter is eternal. And no atheist has ever been able to answer that question. It fails every single
Did you hear about the last study they did? Like, they did a study of like the eye of a chimpanzee or whatever, because to prove evolution, they did a study of a human eye and then the eye of a chimpanzee, and they found that it's like over millions and billions and trillions of years, it wouldn't have ever been possible for us to evolve because the human eye is so much more intricate that it's not even possible for us to have evolved.
You don't hear about that.
But nope, we don't hear about
We
that.
don't hear about
You
that.
don't hear
We
about
just
the
hear
stuff
about
that
all
fails,
this.
just about the stuff that they think will work.
Which makes sense.
So look at this, satisfaction and salvation. Look what 1 John says. As for you, see that what you have heard from the beginning remains or stays in you. Notice that it's your choice. See, he says, see that what you have heard remains. It's your choice. You can walk out of here and you can turn your back on God if you want to. But he's saying, don't do that. See that it stays in you. If it does, you will remain, you also will remain or stay in the Son and in the Father. And when that happens, this is what he promised us, eternal life. So it's satisfaction now, it is salvation in eternity. Okay? That is what the result is. So this is the whole scenario of the path of staying above the line, left or right. We move from square one to square two. Maybe sometimes we drop down to square three, or we'll talk about that. We're gonna take we're gonna actually break early today. Okay, I'm gonna break early. I'm gonna break here in about 10 minutes or a few minutes, and then we will go to lunch early, so that we can then restart a little earlier and then be done a little earlier. Is that okay with everybody?
Sounds good.
Well, they had the food ready
If lunch
early,
is even
because otherwise
ready.
they didn't.
That's what I don't know the answer to that question.
I think that it'll probably still be at noon.
Yeah.
Okay, well, then we'll break
we
until
can
noon.
still- we can
We'll break until whenever lunch is ready, and we'll pick it up.
Eat quick and then.
And I'm gonna get
Usually
you
don't
through,
take a half
guys,
hour to eat.
I think this is actually life-changing material. I don't wanna skip a minute on this teaching for you.
I agree.
I wanna give you
Definitely.
everything I can possibly give you to succeed in life. I wanna give that to you, okay? I won't be happy until we walk out of here today.